Hello, and welcome to another lesson from Level Up Mathematics. In today's lesson, we will be exploring the volume of cylinders. Before we do, let's review a couple of definitions for cylinder and volume of a cylinder. So if you remember from previous courses, cylinders have two bases that are circular and one curved lateral surface. The height of any cylinder is the distance between the two bases. So in the example shown, this segment here, the 6 centimeters would be your height of your cylinder. We can calculate the amount of three-dimensional space occupied by a cylinder by calculating its volume. Volume is also referred to as capacity. So we use our volume formula whenever we're trying to calculate things like how much water would a swimming pool hold, or what is the amount of soup that is in a soup can. These are things that would be measured with the volume formula. Now, to find the volume of a cylinder, you simply multiply the area of the base by its height. And volume is always measured in cubic inches. Now, algebraically, this formula would look like this. Capital V equals capital B for area of the base, H times the height. So volume is equal to area of the base times the height. Now, since the base is always a circle, the area of the base is calculated using this formula. Area equals pi r squared. So another way we can write the volume of a cylinder would be volume equals pi r squared. That's your area of the base times the height. So this portion is your area of your base. Okay. Now, in example 1, it says to find the volume of each cylinder shown below and round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So our formula for the volume of a cylinder is volume equals area of the base times the height. And the things we need to identify about our cylinder before we can use the formula are number 1, the radius, which in this particular problem was 9. Then we need to find the area of the base. That's what the big B stands for. And the area formula, remember, for area of the base is pi r squared. So this would be pi times 9 squared. 9 squared is 81. So I'm going to leave this as 81 pi. Don't turn it into a decimal yet. Just leave it as 81 pi. Now, the height of this cylinder was 7 feet. So now we're going to substitute all this information into our volume formula. So volume equals area of the base times the height. So the area of the base in this problem was 81 pi, and the height was 7. Now I'm going to write that in decimal form. So 81 pi times 7 would be, I believe it said round to the nearest hundredth. So 1781.28. And it's calculated in cubic feet. So cubic feet. All right. In our next cylinder, we have a cylinder with a height of 6 inches and a diameter of 14 inches. We're still using the same volume formula, area of the base times the height, but in this problem, our radius is 14 divided by 2, which is 7 units. Now, big B, remember, stands for area of the base. So area of the base is pi r squared, which would be pi times 7 squared. 7 squared is 49, so this would be 49 9 pi. So the area of the base of the cylinder is 49 pi units. The height of the cylinder is 6 units. Once you know all that, you're ready to use your formula here. Volume equals area of the base times the height. So that would be 49 pi times 6. So just put that in your calculator, 49 pi times 6, and that gives us 923.63, and it is measured in cubic inches. All right, pause the video and try the last problem, problem C, on your own. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you wrote the formula, volume equals area of the base times the height. The radius in this problem is 15 meters. The area of the base is area equals pi r squared. So that would be pi times 15 squared, which is 225 pi. The height was 58 meters. So when I substitute all this into my area, volume equals area of the base times the height formula, I get 225 pi times 58. Put that in my calculator, 225 pi times 58. So 40,997.78 cubic meters. All right, example 2. The diameter of a cylinder is 2.5 inches. The height is 7.5 inches. Which equation can be used to find V, the volume of the cylinder, in cubic inches? Pause the video and try this problem on your own. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you chose C as your answer because the diameter was equal to 2.5, which meant the radius of that cylinder was 1.25. All right, example 3. Find the volume in terms of pi for each of the following. So when we're finding the volume of terms of pi, this means they want you to get an exact answer. In other words, they do not want your final answer to be some kind of rounded decimal answer like we did in our previous example. All right, we're still using the same formula, volume equals area of the base times the height. In this problem, our radius is 9 feet. The area of the base, we have pi r squared. So that would be pi times 9 squared, which is 81 pi. Our height is 7. So when I substitute this in to volume equals area of the base times the height, I get 81 pi times 7. Now, here's where it's different from the problems we did before. This time in your calculator, you're not going to use the pi button. You're just going to type 81 times 7, which would be 567 pi, and our units are cubic feet. So in other words, they do not want you to get a decimal approximation. This is what we consider to be an exact answer, 567 pi cubic feet. All right, pause the video and try problem B on your own. All right, welcome back. Let's see, hopefully you used volume equals area of the base times the height. And you remembered to take half the diameter to get a radius of 7. The area of the base is pi r squared, so that would be pi times 7 squared, or 49 pi. The height is 6. So when I substitute into my volume formula, I get 49 pi times 6. So in my calculator, hopefully you only multiplied 49 times 6, which gives me 294 pi and this would be cubic inches. All right, example 4. Find the height of each cylinder given its volume. So in problem A, it says the volume of the cylinder below is 589 cubic centimeters. If the area of the base is 25 pi square centimeters, find the height of the cylinder. So we're still using our volume formula. Volume equals area of the base times the height. So in this problem, they told me what the volume was and what the area of the base was. So it said my volume is 589. It said the area of the base was 25 pi, and I did not know h. So 589 equals 25 pi h. So my goal is to get the h by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 25 pi. Now, in this problem, it said round your answer to the nearest tenth. So we will be getting a decimal answer here. So 589 divided by 25 pi. So 7.499 means that our height of this cylinder is 7.5 centimeters. All right, problem B. The volume of the cylinder below is 198 cubic feet. Find the height of the cylinder. Round your answer to the nearest whole number. So the volume equals area of the base times the height. So for volume, I will plug in 198. For area of the base, the area of the base is pi r squared. So in this case, our r is 3 units. And then we have the height, which we don't know. So 198 equals pi times 3 squared times h. Excuse me. Now let me simplify this a little bit. 198 equals 9 pi h. And so to find h, I have to get h by itself. So I'll divide both sides by 9 pi. So 198 divided by 9 pi. And we're rounding to the nearest whole number. So this would give me a height of 7 feet. And that concludes today's lesson, volume of cylinders.